The katana or Uchigatana refers to the type of Japanese sword most commonly envisioned. There are several types of swords, and the Uchigatana is one of them, also being the most well-known. Emerging around the 20th or 13th century, the Uchigatana played a significant role during the era of the samurai and became symbolic enough to be considered a trademark of the samurai. Let's take a look at the features of the Uchigatana. The blade length of an Uchigatana is typically over 23.6 inches, and it is characterized by a relatively shallow curvature. Before the Uchigatana became widespread, the tachi was commonly used, compared to the tachi, which generally has a longer blade and deeper curvature. The Uchigatana is overall smaller in construction. Next, let's discuss the method of carrying it. The Uchigatana was carried with the blade facing upwards, simply slipped into the belt of a samurai's hakama. This method is different from that of the tachi. The tachi was worn with the blade facing downwards, suspended from a belt with a special mount. This difference in carrying methods made it possible for the samurai to draw the Uchigatana quickly from its scabbard and strike swiftly. Both the tachi and the Uchigatana are worn on the left side, as the samurai would draw the sword with their right hand. At that time, it was customary for the samurai to be right-handed. The emergence of the Uchigatana dates back to the 14th and 15th century. During this period, Japanese battle tactics transitioned from cavalry-centered combat using bows to mass infantry warfare. This shift in combat style brought significant changes to the weapons used on the battlefield. First, the naginata, which was cumbersome in group combat, gradually fell out of use, and the spear became more prevalent. Additionally, the introduction of matchlock guns from abroad led to infantry units handling these firearms en masse. The large tachi previously used, with blade length of around 35.8 inches, became less favored due to their cumbersome nature and difficulty in drawing. This paved the way for the Uchigatana. By the 16th century, the Uchigatana with blade length of approximately 28.6 to 29.8 inches became the standard. Meanwhile, some tachi that were no longer used on the battlefield were shortened and transformed into Uchigatana. Although Uchigatana appeared in history, it didn't evolve directly from the tachi. The prototype of the Uchigatana is said to be a type of dagger called sasuga, which originated in the early 20th century. The sasuga was a short sword carried by lower-ranked foot soldiers who accompanied higher-ranked cavalry warriors, equipped alongside the naginata as an auxiliary infantry weapon. This evolved, and by the 14th century, it transformed into the Uchigatana. Once fully established on the battlefield, the Uchigatana came to be possessed by everyone from high-ranking samurai to low-ranking foot soldiers. In the 16th century, during the Azuchi Momoyama period, it became customary among the samurai to wear both a long and a short Uchigatana. The shorter version is known as the wakizashi. Simultaneously, the scabbards and other fittings for these swords were made in the same design for both blades. This trend led to the official samurai attire under the shogunate consisting of carrying both an Uchigatana and a wakizashi, and the standard length of the Uchigatana was set at approximately 27.6 inches. The modern image of the samurai was finalized in this period. A Uchigatana, a symbolic weapon of the samurai, played a unique role on the battlefield. Although it became the mainstream among Japanese swords, it was actually a secondary weapon in battles. The primary weapon in Japanese warfare were long-range weapons like bows and stones, and mid-range weapons like naginata and spears. Before the emergence of the Uchigatana, the bow was considered the symbol of the samurai, and those proficient in archery were highly respected. So when was the Uchigatana used? Initially, battles involved fighting with long-range weapons such as bows, guns, and stones. As combatants closed in each other, longer porous weapons like spears were employed. The Uchigatana was used when these primary weapons were lost or unsuitable, especially in close combat. Thus, while not the most frequently used weapon on the battlefield, it was often the final decisive weapon in conflicts. The Uchigatana took center stage during the tumultuous end of the 19th century, the end of the Tokugawa shogunate. Although large-scale battles were rare, there was widespread conflict between pro- and anti-shogunate forces across Japan. During this time, swordsmanship with the Uchigatana flourished, and sword masters emerged nationwide. Honing their skills, groups like the Shinsengumi, tasked with maintaining public order, often engaged in close-quarters combat in urban settings, typically involving small groups. Under these conditions, the Uchigatana proved to be an optimal weapon. I will introduce a renowned Uchigatana. The Yoshimoto Samonji is a Uchigatana crafted by the master swordsmith Samonji, and is famously known as the belonged sword of the warlord Imagawa Yoshimoto. This sword has a total length of 32.9 inches and a blade length of 26.3 inches. It was originally a tachi that was shortened and remade into an Uchigatana. The name of this sword derives from its owner, Imagawa Yoshimoto. He is best known in Japanese history for the Battle of Okehazama. Ruling over the current Aichi and Shizuoka prefectures, Imagawa Yoshimoto commanded one of the foremost powers in Japan at that time. In this battle, despite his forces numbering 25,000 compared to Oda Nobunaga's 3,000, a disparity of 22,000, Yoshimoto was defeated by Nobunaga, catapulting Nobunaga to national fame. At this battle, Yoshimoto was carrying the Yoshimoto Samonji when he was slain. Subsequently, Oda Nobunaga seized this sword and made it his own cherished blade. As time passed, Oda Nobunaga, who had become Japan's most powerful lord, was betrayed and killed by one of his chief generals during the Honnoji incident. The sword he possessed at that time of his death was this very one. Witness to the end of Great Samurai, this sword is now designated as an important cultural property and is housed in the Kyoto National Museum. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, giving a like, and leaving plenty of comments. Until next time, sayonara.